there, and Ding takes an immediate decision. He just simply guards it, passes the ball back to Yan, saying, I've got the ideas of d5, all the points that you were making earlier, Robert, and it's again practical problems, but this time for Yan to solve.
I'm really tempted by white to play d5. I understand why he's keeping it in reserve, and it makes sense to, but positionally speaking, if white can force d5, e5, which it seems to do, black kind of has to play e5 after d5, this is a great thing for white, no? I mean, like, endgames suddenly are probably winning for white. As you mentioned, Robert, that rook on h6 is really in bad shape. I mean, it's not trapped. It does perform some useful functions in terms of if the knight on h5 moves, then obviously the rook can become an attacking piece. But if we imagined that the queens came off the board and white had bishop to f3, like, the rook also can get trapped potentially with g5. So it's very often in danger of getting just lost on h6. And what does black do here after rook e2? It's not obvious the next move.
Well, I think this is why he didn't play d5. Quick little analysis here. It's not going to be long, but for everybody wondering, why wouldn't you just give a check? Sometimes it's better to store. The threat is better than the execution. After d5, e5, black can successfully play f5 in the near future, and that's scary for the white king in the corner. But in the game, after rook to e2, a very quiet move, if you play f5, now the rook, which was defending, says thank you very much for the pawn, and d5 will result in a mating attack against the king. So I actually really like rook e2. It takes away black's main offensive threat, and it says you need to find a move because you're not going to sacrifice an exchange. I can just take right back, and my king is perfectly safe thanks to the bishop. And let's not forget that white is up a pawn on the queen side. If black just shuffles back and forth, at some point white can throw those pawns up the board and try to get a passed pawn. So I'm really worried for Jan Nepomniachtchi. I know he's up 7 minutes, but I really feel like his position is far more difficult to play. I'm struggling to see moves here. You just brought your queen to h4. That's a good square, but you're not threatening anything. This rook on f8, does it have to stay here for some reason? Can it move to a square like d8? I don't even know if that does anything.
Yeah, if I were Jan here, I would be in a state of panic. This is a position where you need to immediately generate ideas, or you could easily lose the game. Because, yeah, it's only the dynamic factors that can maybe save you here. You're down material. So that's the first thing. That white is up a pawn. Black is the one who needs to prove compensation. And the other thing is that the d5 idea at any moment could result in your king getting mated. So you have to both create counterplay and keep an eye on your king, which is very weak. And I don't see how to do it. f5 is like the most obvious move. I'm actually thinking about some kind of crazy a5 here. Just because I plays f5?
F5.
It's losing the spot!
And oh my gosh.
Rook takes e6?
Drops another pawn.
What does
That's
he want?
the third pawn that Jan gives up.
F takes g4, let's d5, bishop e5, rook e5. I don't see the idea there for black. It's
What
just
is he
checkmate,
doing?
no?
I'm shocked. I'm confused.
Is this Jan on tilt?
Rook e6, I don't understand it. f3 is his idea?
So f3. So we need to analyze this.
It has to be
e6.
f3, otherwise you resign, no? f3 or
Right,
you resign?
d5 is devastating. So f3. So your point, just to show that white could get checkmated if your bishop were to take, that would be silly because you get checkmated in one. Okay, so f3. If queen takes f3, you're trying to take on g4 and expose an attack against this queen over
It has an easy refutation. d5, bishop to e5, rook takes e5, f takes g2, and I think just maybe king g2 also wins, but king h2 is a very simple solution, I think. And yeah, the king is safe. F takes g4 leads to mate after rook to f5, among probably other moves as well. Or rook g5, whatever you want. Knight takes e5, queen e5 will, yeah, white is...
And he played it. He played rook e6.
This is complete craziness. I can't
bizarre.
imagine this.
This is bizarre. I don't know what Jan has been doing for the last 5 moves, but it's been an absolute disaster. Every single move, he's lost out on an advantage. Given the chance to Ding to strike back, and did you see that? Ding actually looked at Jan. He looked at Jan there with this puzzled expression. Jan has blown this away. Rook e6 on the board. No way for Jan to come back. If f3 doesn't work, that is the third pawn that Jan has just given to Ding for free. What is this? This is supposed to be a world championship match.
And this is why Ding Liren played rook e2. That was a really subtle idea. It was just defending, of course, a pawn that was under attack. But he made it so Jan could not successfully play this active move f5. So I think that Ding Liren deserves a ton of credit. Yes, Jan Nepomniachtchi is absolutely collapsing at this stage of the World Championship Game 12, but Ding has created some problems for Jan. Jan's created problems for himself as well, and now the game is just over. There's no way to save this king.
Did you see Jan there? It looked like he was so angry at himself for what he allowed. He couldn't even look at the board. He was just talking to himself, just in complete disbelief of how he's just left the title, the World Championship crown, just slip out of his hand in this game 12. Jan Nepomniachtchi feeling the heat, Ding Liren in driving seat is not just about losing this game and Ding striking back, but if that was to happen at this moment, Jan knowing what he messed up, Fabi, the momentum of the match will completely shift in Ding's favor with this comeback.
Yeah, it's difficult to because on the one hand, I really feel for Jan in this moment. It's clear the pressure got to him, and I think that it got to him because he probably realized that he was on the verge of winning a game which would probably win him the match. We can't say with certainty, but with great likelihood, 2 point margin would be too much to handle. And at that very moment, when we were already calling for like maybe Jan is going to become world champion very soon, uh, he every move like we can basically criticize pretty much every move he made. It became like a bullet game, just instant moves, and uh, within the span of 10 moves, at least like 7 serious mistakes. Just very like the quality just went basically to zero. So, and with 40 minutes on the clock, not like when Ding collapsed in Game 7, it was shocking, but it was still very much associated with time, trouble, panic. This was unprovoked mistakes, just pressure of the match dictated what happened in the end of this game. And now he's of course, as soon as Rook takes e6 happened, he understood what he had done to his position, but it was already headed that direction. Like he had gone from completely winning to like just compare the position before b4 and before f5. It's the same position without his b and c pawns, exactly the same. He's just missing his b and c pawns.
Fortunate for him. But if I just take a step back, if I look at the match as a whole, Ding Liren has not been a worse player. I think they've been very level, and so a 6-6 score feels about right.
Yeah,
I
I don't think that we can talk about luck because this has been up and down, and for sure, Ding is not lucky to be in this position. Or I mean, maybe considering what the position was 30 minutes ago, we can say that. But as a whole, yeah, obviously he's counting his lucky stars because things could have been a lot worse. But both these guys made mistakes throughout this match. They had their chances. They missed their chances as well. I can think of like one moment where Jan will definitely regret earlier in the match, which was when he decided to take the exchange, right? And he allowed this uh, monster knight on f5 and in the English game, reverse Sicilian game earlier in the match. I think it was probably game 4. So there's definitely some moments they can both regret so far. For Ding, of course, game 7 and game 8, that was a nightmare stretch for him because he could have been 2 out of 2 instead of half out of 2 from those 2 games.
Oh my God. What we're witnessing right now is just, it's unsurpassed. It's something that we haven't seen happen before. This, to me, looks like Ding has used up one of his 9 lives today, surviving this one. And simply because Jan played such a great game from the start. He took his chances. He went for short castle. He went into that deep dark forest we keep coming back to of complications. He did not shy away from it. Some brave, fearless decisions. I'm still thinking, Robert, how do you explain the last few moves by Yan being so close to it, but move by move, just undoing everything that you've created, being so close to becoming world champion? Yes, not for certainty, but for all practical purposes, it was clear. And Yan right now is fighting the demons in his head because he's also thinking about what he's missed out on his game, not just the fact that he's completely lost, but the fact that he perhaps lost the world championship title with this game.
It's an impossible question to answer, and the reason why is it's an impossible experience, impossible situation to replicate without being in the World Championship stage. Now, we have somebody who played a World Championship match against Magnus Carlsen. That's Fabiano with us, but I think one of the big differences is that Jan Nepomniachtchi had the lead, and he was about to make it a 2-point lead. And so, Fabi, I mean, you can maybe comment on this. I don't know, it's kind of speculation to some extent, but nerves had to be a huge factor, and the exhaustion after playing now a 12th game of chess. You know that these players have been giving it their all. They really must be just out of gas.
Yeah, exhaustion is definitely playing a huge part in this, and I think also the weight of the moment, because for sure Jan realized, like, some part of him understood that he's very, very close in this game to winning the game and to making that huge step forward to becoming world champion. And the weight of that also can weigh on you. It can get in your head a bit. The excitement of potentially winning, also a brilliant game. I'm sure he felt like he was playing a brilliant game, winning a brilliant game with the black pieces. The whole narrative of it is in your head, like I'm going to win a world championship match with one of the best games I've ever played. You know, just slowly outplaying a player as good as Ding from an equal position, like just from the opening, equal, maybe even slightly worse from black. All of this was in his head. I'm sure that this contributed in great part to why. Uh, yeah, and I can feel. I think all of us, everyone in the chat, can also feel the pain of losing a chess game. We've all been there.
Very upset with himself for some of his quick decisions, allowing Ding Liren some much needed counterplay. And right now, Jan has no counterplay of his own. He is down material, he is down on time. His king is about to be knocked down because he might just resign here. This is 1-0, and that means we'll have a 6-6 match.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I do kind of see a move to resign. It suddenly came to me. It's the move knight to e5. Because if rook h6 knight g4, there's a d5 is knight by bishop e5. There's actually a threat of knight takes f2. It's a pretty strong threat. It probably doesn't work out for black anyway, but uh, you know,
Bobby, I think at this point, Jan is just incapable of making a move right now. He's just in complete shock.
no, I'm just trying to like find some move
Yeah.
not to resign the game on the spot, at least to create the chance for a mistake for your opponent. But after knight takes knight e5, I think rook takes e5 is like just very, very clinical and easily crushing black. So even knight e5, and that would be a great, I think, bullet try. I mean, like Hikaru would play that and probably win in Title Tuesday if he were doing that. But yeah, here it's not too difficult to refute.
It's painful to watch this, honestly. I'm looking at Jan. I'm seeing that just pure devastation, that anger. It gets to you. I mean, as a fan of chess, in addition to commentating, you know, you always want to see great games, all these great fighters. But it's painful as somebody who's played a lot of chess to lose a game like this. I mean, I've never been on this stage, of course, Fabi. You have been, but I think we kind of all can understand what Jan is going. This is a very human moment, and I feel for him. Even though if you're a Ding Liren fan, you're thrilled. I think even then you're still upset for Jan just because of, you know, how he's feeling right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously very, very painful to lose in general, and especially on the biggest stage. And yeah, we saw exchange sack, queen takes h5, will likely maybe f3. I don't know. F3, d5 seems to seem d5, bishop e5, rook e5. There's a little bit to calculate. F takes g2, king takes g2, knight f4. The king runs. Instead, he takes, I
That's
think,
simply
d5 here, followed by d6 is very clinical. King h, king g8, d6, and that's the black king is getting hunted, and white is up a lot of material. So d6 quickly played and resigned.
handshakes. And that is it. D6 on the board. It is game over. Ding Liren comes back in the match after a very lot of twists and turns in this one. Jan Nepomniachtchi resigns in that position. Wow, we've got a match on our hands.